locked in right now. It's the Wheel1 podcast. It's your boy Master Twice. Got a special guest in the cut right here. It's my big homie Mike right here.
What's up, brother?
You know, he had to come in, pop in on me. I really appreciate it. I love it. I love the vibes. It's been a long time coming.
10 years.
Yeah, exactly. We go way back. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't know, now you know. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. But Mike, we're just gonna get into it like how we usually do it. Just gonna jump right into it.
Absolutely.
And the way we usually do it out here is I love to get into the early life, you know what I'm saying, where you come from, where you grew up, the family life, like siblings, all that type of stuff, as far back as you can remember. Just let us know the story,
Oof. That's a lot to unpack right there.
It is, but it's the Wheel1 podcast. We keep a wheel out here. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I used to go by Michael. Now I go by Mike. Michael's too white, too formal for me.
This switch it up a little bit.
But I'm originally from Rexdale, Toronto, Ontario. So
shout out.
We go to school together. We went to school. Shout out to Emory. Shout out to all the people that we know there.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all my Eagles.
Yeah, that's it. And for the ones that have come back onto shows and whatnot as well. Wow. What's the question again?
Just family life, growing up, as far as you can back as you remember, let me know about that.
Ooh, fuck, that's a tough question. You're talking to an Asian minority out
here. Yeah, exactly. That's why I want to hear it. We need to get this story.
You don't see too many Asians in Rexdale, to be honest. You see them more into the Jane and Finch, Jane and Shepherd kind of vibes, and that's kind of where they migrate. And if not, they go up to Vaughan, Markham, etc., etc. So being pretty much from the hood, to be honest, it was fucking tough. Going from one end to the other, always being called chink, always being called tight eyes, wide eyes. It was
That's some fucked up shit, by the way. I just have to put that out there,
I really honestly didn't look at it as too much of a racism kind of thing. I'm like, yo, what you're saying is facts. So it never really bothered me to that extent where I got upset, but it really kind of, in a way, made my name out there. Yo, we know who that is. So it was cool in a sense that people started recognizing me, not just for being Asian, but then also being really good at sports rather than academics. So that's kind of where I stood out.
I before we get more into the family life, I kind of want to unpack that a lot. That whole perspective of okay, the Asian kid, male or female, you got to be excel at academics, but then they don't think about the other things that you might enjoy.
Absolutely. For me, the stereotype was you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer. But my parents really heavily pushed to do medicine, to do something with that because you get the status of, yo, you're a doctor. And to me, that never really resonated with me. As much as I like health and I still am in health now, I chose more of a practical route. Just because the more I really think about it, and when I was about to do my MCAT and all that, I'm just why am I going to prescribe someone a pill that is sold full on lies? A pill is not going to save you from your bad eating habits, your high blood pressure, your overweight, obesity aspect. It will be there to be a supplement to help you, but it's not going to be the cure to all evil. So now being a personal trainer and running a gym, running a team and all that, I really get to be on the ground floor and helping others like yourself and others just in general better themselves, not just physically but mentally. And it's a route of exercise rather than here's a pill, take this.
All right, I love that. I just had to ask that just because there's always the perception,
100%.
And we always want to get unpack those things. So more about the family life. We're talking about a little bit earlier. We were just talking about as you said, immigrant parents.
Yes.
Immigrant parents. How was that? Let's talk about where your family's from. When they come out here, all that. Let's get into that.
So my family, my mom and dad were from Vietnam. They're from, both of them are different. They're both from the South, but my mom's kind of middle class, high class, because she just came from that aspect. She had 12 brothers and sisters, which is a little bit insane compared to my dad who had 3. brothers and
I'm not gonna
sisters.
lie to you though. My dad has like 11 brothers and sisters. So
Yeah,
like,
they go
it
kind of hard
happens.
in the homeland. So um, it's tough. But my parents migrated here, wanting obviously a better life. My dad came when it was kind of like war times, so
Oh
he
shit.
he came on like the boat. So it was tough for him. Whereas my mom kind of got flown in. So in a way, she's a little bit better off because she came from a little bit of money. Um, with my dad really had nothing to his name. So when he came here, he still worked at the same job. To be honest, um, he works right next to our old high school. To be honest,
Oh shit.
that big ass building beside behind the train tracks.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of where he works, and he's been there for almost 35 years now, which is a long time.
Grinding.
He's just grinding, and he's kind of moved himself up into that ladder of management, which is cool because it shows that even as someone who doesn't know the language and the English and just all that, they make themselves.
It's crazy how like far hard work can take you, because like what you're saying is like, and it's kind of crazy even when you think about like your parents and like the aspect that they come from two different type of realities.
Yeah.
And it's like, one is like, not saying like had an easier route, but then like there's one that you could tell like there's out the mud, and there's like, you had a little bit of a ride.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
absolutely, 100%.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, it's just crazy the comparison to see them, like, and you as being a product of that, and even like what we were talking about earlier, like before we were rolling, like, how does that affect you now, like, with them two being from like different realities, and then even with like from being immigrants on top of it.
I think I get the best of both worlds because I get to really saw how hard they had to work to kind of build a family, build a life here, a whole new life. Obviously, not knowing the language and now seeing where they are. Mind you, they're still in that very old school and traditional aspect of how their way of living was back there. So when you ask them about investments and risk and doing all this extra stuff, they usually are hoarding everything because they don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. Whether the stock market is going to crash, whether like their home is not going to be anywhere. They're still in that mindset.
Don't trust the banks.
They don't trust, exactly. So it's very hard in that aspect to build from them. But even though they've been here now 27, 28, 29 years, etc., it's a lot for them to overcome. And I feel like that's a lot. That's not just my parents. That's a lot of Asian parents, but a lot of immigrant parents as well, right? They come over with $5 to their name or even nothing to their name. And they got to build from scratch. And it's very intimidating, especially in today's age.
I couldn't even imagine it, to be honest, in any age, because like I think of myself as being like implanted in another country where I don't even speak the language, and then being like, yeah, just make it. Like, it's mind blowing to me. It's like, all right, yeah, it's like someone just dropping me in like the middle of like, I don't know, Saudi Arabia with no money and being like, all right, make your way around.
Yeah,
like, or like, it's just it's mind boggling, to be honest. And the strength that it takes to do that is like amazing. Really,
I think that's where I get a lot of like the resilience and the vigilance that I go through because not being the tallest kid, not being the smartest kid, being a visible not minority, there was always things working against my favor in success, and easily I could have turned the corner and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna live into this kind of label that has been given to me." But I'm like, I want more than this. I want more in life. I want to do better. I want to be better, not just for them, but for me. Because at the end of the day, I have to live my life, right? So the product of both their hard efforts and their hard work, and to come out of school and to be able to find a job and to do well now, it's making an impact on others. It's what really makes me tick.
I mean, that's beautiful. I always feel like the most important like goal in life is to have people to inspire other people.
Absolutely,
because that's the only way we build. Because like no one's gonna be here forever.
Yes.
But the point is to spark somebody that's gonna like change the cause of whatever's going on, like change the mindsets and to help push people forward, because we know we're not gonna be here forever.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right.
But that's the thing that we all need to tap into more, myself included, but that's what we're here for right now. We're trying to inspire everybody. No, Mike, we gonna go back now a little bit more. We're gonna go back we're gonna talk about like some hobbies and like some of the things that you did for fun now growing up. Like,
Okay.
especially in like, the environments that you grew up in.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the stuff I did growing up, were not most of the legal stuff.
Yeah,
Not to say that I did drugs or I was involved with any gang stuff, but like we would do missions, as we like to call them, just because we watch a lot of TV and we see shit online, and like we want to do kid stuff. Like you want to go to the creek.
A little bit mischievous.
Yeah, mischievous. You want to do random shit. Like you want to take some eggs and fucking egg someone's house, or you want to go down to the stream and just like jump in the water, kind of thing. Because nowadays kids don't do that. Nowadays kids are so
it's screen time.
If they're involved with technology, right? So I know 6-year-olds who come with the newest iPhone, and you're like, the fuck, or the newest iPad.
Bro, it boggles my mind when I see like those little kids with phones like that, because it's like, damn, I didn't have a phone until I was like almost in high school.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't get my first until I was 18 because there was I didn't see a need for it. I was still getting around. I still had things done. I still communicated, right? But now take away their phones or their devices and their technology, and
they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. So I think it's also like poor parenting nowadays too, because they're relying too much on technology to
shut the kids out,
and also like to teach the kids. Nowadays, honestly, a 6-year-old can just find a porn site and just go.
You would never know. To be honest, it's funny. You would see like I've heard stories of like children like they don't even know how to read, but they can find those things on the internet. It's crazy. It's like you don't even know how to read. How did you find this?
That's correct. So my boy sent me like their friends are now. Online presence is a huge thing, especially with COVID in the past 2.5, 3 years, right? Kids are always online, so who's to say like they don't have group chats and they just send memes, gifs, and then all of a sudden they send some tits, some ass.
Damn.
Right?
Yo, the internet is a scary place. I mean, we try to keep it safe out here. We try to keep it safe out here, but goddamn, the internet is a scary fucking place. So like, we're gonna talk a bit more about like some like the passions that you had when you were younger, and like what are some that have still pushed through to this day?
Some passions I had were like sports. I really wanted to do sports, like something high level sports.
What was your favorite sport?
I played a lot of track. I did a lot of track because I was a sprinter. I like running short distances, but super burst of energy and all that. It just kind of got me high on that fact, like, yo, I'm faster than the next guy. I wanted to be speed.
What was your favorite race?
Like in what sense?
And like, like it was like 100 meter.
Oh, it's 100 meter for sure. Like, bro, when you watch Sonic when you're growing up, you're like, yo, you gotta go fast, bro. Or you fucking watch Naruto and you're like, yo, I want to run like that, and you start going crazy. And so when you see stuff like that, you're like, speed kills.
That's
so
very true.
To be fast.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Funny enough, one of my favorite like Disney superhero cartoons was The Incredibles.
Oof.
And I always wanted to be Dash.
Yeah, Dash.
Yeah, I wanted to be Dash. I was like, yo, what do you need? I'm everywhere. Just I'm gone.
Sick. That dude's sick. No, that's what I'm saying. So like that was like some of the, like I really wanted to do something like that, career wise as well. But as I like aged, and I'm like, ooh, I'm not tall enough for that. I'm not big enough for that. I never really had the resources to do that from a professional level. I'm so behind compared to kids who did that when they're 8-year-olds starting.
Yeah.
Right? I'm starting now at 16. I'm just like, there's almost 10 years gap. I'm so behind.
It's crazy when I notice like there's certain sports where it's like if you don't start when you're like 4, 5, 6 years old, you can never really compete with the kids at your age level because they've been doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like a lot of the individual sports are like that. So like you said, like track, tennis, golf. And then when I think about like other sports like baseball, because it's like it's so specialized.
Yeah.
Like gymnastics, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things where they're so specialized where I feel like if you don't start that at a young age, you have to be extraordinarily gifted and talented to actually excel.
To even compete.
Yeah. Because
to say, yo, I can do this.
Because these kids have they live this.
Yeah.
Like, and like it's just a crazy experience to see, like, and like for someone as me where it's like I like my favorite sport, you already know, is playing basketball, where it's like, bro, you see people make the NBA, like they just started playing basketball like 7 years ago. They're just gifted to be like, 6'9" or something, and you can teach them how to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's tough in that sense. So that's where I was kind of trying to go with it until I'm like, nah, like let me take more of like how do I combine sports and teaching all in one? So I obviously wanted to be a gym teacher, and then
I
that
did too. I'm not alive.
I was about to say, we had some pretty big influences in our life when it came to like the gym and the fitness and all that, and that's where I really wanted to excel in and to kind of teach our passion to the next buds and the
Next generation. Yeah.
But then obviously knowing the school system and how fucked up how political it is, you're like,
Yeah.
it ain't it. It ain't it. So then I took the doctor route. I'm like, yo, let me now get into kind of like medicine or like trying to do something with this. And then I found out that that's not for me because prescribing pills is it's not the way to go. So how do I make this happy marriage of health and medicine aspect with sports? So I'm like, yo, it has to be a gym teacher. But now what's another route? So
Mm.
I chose personal trainer because then I can really touch and inspire so many on a larger scale than just a class of 20 on a daily basis. I can see hundreds of people on a daily basis, whether it's for a consultation or for actual training,
Mm.
right?
And I love the thought about it. We're going to tap more into that. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get back into that. We're going to talk about his transformation too. Don't sleep. My homie didn't always look like this. You know what I'm saying? This is a lot of hard work and you know, blood, sweat, and tears.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But I do want to have I had an interesting question for you just because, like, you know, like we were talking about earlier, you know, minority,
Mhm.
son of the immigrants, and just like growing up now in like the environment that we did, especially in the West and in the Rex, like, you know, what are your views on society and like how do you feel about it now and going forward? Like, you know.
I still think it's pretty fucked up, to be honest. Like, I don't think much has improved in the sense of like the government really isn't helping us. Um, at least for us in this area.
Yeah,
Sure,
very
there's
true.
construction going on. Sure, there's some new residential buildings, but that's more for business and economical um, rises. But when it comes down to actually helping the people there who are living there and the businesses there, I highly doubt much has changed from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That's why it's been so shitty. So it's kind of like we're the product of our environment in a sense.
And like it's rough coming out the West End. Like, you know, I think like a lot of people like it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, like off camera, where it's like growing up in the West End, you have a little mixture of like all groups of different people.
Yeah.
But then it's hard because like there's just not much resources for like especially the kids like
Absolutely.
growing up. Like you said, or even what you were saying earlier, like things that you're doing for fun, like yeah, the kitchen is like most of the things that you probably shouldn't be doing. The reason why that's probably happening is because there ain't programs for you to do at that age.
100%. There's nothing there for us, so we kind of had to make fun and do ourselves, right? But it was really cool because you connected with another person that didn't look like you, but had the same views or came from the same environment as you. So it was really cool in building kind of a multi-diverse friend group.
Facts. Because, like, my whole life it was always like that. Funny enough, my first friends, you know, saying were, you know, Russell, Rio, and Reynard. Shout out to my guys. You know, saying my Filipino brothers. You know, saying met them like 4 years old. They were my next door neighbors. You know what I'm saying? You know, those were my guys. And like, it was nothing to me. Like that was like normal. That like, yeah, my best friend's like Asian, and you know, I got like you know my black homies down the street. You know what I'm saying? Got like you know homegirl over here with the hijab on. That wasn't abnormal. Like it was like this is a regular thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's like I just love that we had that, but at the same time, it's like crazy how like we can have that, but then still see like there's a lot of struggle at the same time in it. Like, and you don't really realize it as a kid until like you get older, and then you're like, damn.
You look back and you're like, wow, I fucking went through that.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit, I feel sorry for now the kids that are going through that, right? Because nowadays it's honestly worse with technology and with kind of like society and how things are so red taped.
Yeah, it's rough, and like and for kids, I feel like because they live in this like highlight society,
yeah,
they feel like they gotta be perfect all the time.
That's why Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, people are always adding these filters, and like 14-year-old girls are now looking like they're 20-year-olds, and you're
it's
like,
scary. It's not good.
And then God forbid they get in the wrong environment, wrong situations, and it turns into something more. right? But same with the young men, right? The
Yeah.
young men are now more or less, I gotta look this part, I gotta be this
I
buff or
gotta be
this.
flexing, like,
Yeah,
I
so
gotta have
like
all
I
the
got,
bands,
yeah,
or
all the
like,
bands. I gotta look like I have my shit together at 16. Well, bro, you're only a kid. Like you don't even know what life is yet. So how are you flexing all daddy's money or mommy's money and you don't even have your first job at McDonald's yet? Come on now.
you know, it's funny because like even when I look back on those times, I used to think I do everything. Like I feel like everyone feels that way when they look back on those ages, and it's like I didn't even know shit. Like even like in my mid-20s, I feel like I still didn't know shit.
Well,
Like I was just learning the game. I'm like, yo, this is real life, bro.
Life is hard. Life is fucking hard. So imagine all those kids who have like, all those teenagers who have kids at such a young age, right? They get knocked up or a party happened and then boom, unprotected sex, and then here we go.
You're taking care of a whole nother human
That's
when you
right.
don't
You don't
even know
even
how
know
to take
what the
care of
hell.
yourself.
Exactly. You don't even know how to do your own goddamn taxes yet.
I just learned how to do my taxes like 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Shout out H&R Bank Online. H&R Block. Sorry. You know, let me get it right.
Love it.
But like, nah, like for real though, because like I feel like that's the thing, especially like you said, in this highlight society, that like so many things that are, I feel like that like they highlight a lot of the positives without a lot of the struggles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, they highlight a lot of like women who like, you know, have like their bodies done, and then it puts out this image of like unattainableness that is not obtained naturally.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, this is the standard of beauty, but the standard of beauty is not naturally attainable.
That's correct.
So it's like an oxymoron where it just doesn't make any sense. Which it's like that's what I'm saying. Which it doesn't make any sense how to promote that as a natural thing when it's not, and it's like the reverse. I feel for guys in a sense where maybe it's not like physically, but it's like, okay, now you should have all your shit together at like fucking, like you said, 16 years old. You should have like 10 bands, and just be like, you know, doing your thing. Like not everyone has it like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and
it's not realistic. It's not something that is attainable in that sense, but people want that lifestyle. People want that luxury, that life, that high roller life. Like, I got my shit. But in reality, you really don't, because you don't look like that naturally, but you also don't have that much money at that age. Mind you, some kids do because they have rich parents.
Yeah.
Great. But that's a different situation. That's like the top 1%.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, like,
it's still not theirs.
Yeah, it's not theirs to be like, yo, I made this, or this is mine. I've come from so far. Like, shut the fuck up.
You know, some people be on third base acting like they hit home runs. So, you know,
yeah, so that's been the case. So,
but like, you know, it's just crazy, man. Like that's how society can do us sometimes. But you know, you just try to find and work your way through it. But another thing, though, I want to ask you, because this is always a big thing on the show, is the mental health aspect of things, and I want to like know a situation where you first kind of like encounter like, I need to check my mental health about like, you know, a situation happened.
Ooh.
I need to be like, yo, whoa. Like, you know,
Huge.
I need to check myself mentally, not like, you know, just like, you know, on a physical aspect.
That's a huge question. I love the fact that you asked that question.
It's a big thing because like the reason I like not to cut you off, but like the reason why I like start asking, I asked everybody that question is because throughout my own journey, especially like with the spinal cord injury and everything, I really had to check myself. As much as I thought I was strong mentally, I had to really check myself because it was like, this is a tough situation. And I felt like going through this situations like that and talking with others, it helps other people. So like, you know, I always want to pay it forward. So I always ask somebody to, you know.
Nice. I really respect that. For me, that's a big one. That's actually why I got into fitness. Well, off camera, we were talking about this guy named Rich. Shout out to Richard Phillips.
Oh, yo, my gosh. My arms are sore just saying that name.
So that was one of my mentors in high school. We did the Rich program after I left. After I graduated, I came back to do it as like an after school program, and that helped not just physically, but it helped a lot of students mentally. Just because we'll exercise in a group for like, let's say 40 minutes, and then the last 20-minute discussion will be like, yo, what's going on in your life, or have you heard the news on what's going on, just so we can stay connected, but also like figure out how some of them think, right? Whether some of them may be quiet in class, they don't feel like they have the voice out there, but after exercise they're like, oh, fuck, we're pushing together, and then we feel as a unit we can talk together, So it's kind of like a bonding experience. So then talking about that, we found out a lot of kids aren't in the right headspace, to be honest. And it's sad because you get to talk to them. Some of them at the age of 16 are going through depression, anxiety. Body dysmorphia is a huge thing in today's highlighted society.
Can you talk about more of that, just especially as like with the profession that you're in, just like how
absolutely.
that affects the youth?
So now being a personal trainer at, as you know, Tap Out Fitness over here.
Shout out.
This is where my home base is now. I deal with a lot of people who go through the obesity factor, whether now they're in their 50s or they're in their teens. And it's hard. You really get to see how much it affects them from a standpoint physically. Because now it's just okay, you are overweight, but what does that do to you mentally? And you can really see how destructive it is to them, where they're not eating because people are calling them fat, or they stress eat because people are calling them fat. So there's so many ways and avenues of taking this, and God forbid it can lead to suicidal. It can lead to like way worse. And I've actually had a client last year who his mom came to us because he was 60 pounds overweight at the age of 25. And he would not leave his room. He would stay in his room, play video games all day. And he's our age, so like looking at it, I'm just like, he could be my little brother, for crying out loud, and he's going through that. His mom came knocking. This was during COVID time, so his mom came knocking on our doors, and we're like, who's this woman? Like, maybe she's lost, but she came in and she almost broke down in tears, begging us for help her son. Like, she begged and pleaded, help her son, because she doesn't know what to do and she doesn't know where to go. And she's a nurse, so to hear a nurse who has the background in health,
has an idea of how to help, but then she still doesn't know how to help.
Exactly. Come to us and be like, hey, please, whatever it takes, I want you to help my son. We took this was in a way, my first client. And I took this to heart because I want to do him justice and I want to do this right. So we trained literally 3 to 4 times a week, and it wasn't just the training aspect. It was more or less the talking aspect. He needed a friend. He needed someone there to support him. He needed someone to guide him through the obstacles that he was going through.
Sometimes I feel like that's all people need, is just somebody to just be like, yo, it's hard as fuck, but I'm here for you though.
Absolutely. That's all you need, right? Because a lot of people nowadays don't want to talk to each other. A lot of people can't talk to their parents at home because they don't understand the struggles that they're going through, and vice versa. We don't understand the struggle that they went through. So it's just like, how do I relate to you, but how do you relate to me?
I feel like the big thing is like vulnerability, because like I was talking to somebody about this the other day, where it's like nowadays everybody wants to be like, act like they have no feelings because they're scared to get their feelings hurt.
100%. I think
like it kind of doesn't make any sense to me, because it's like, if you're more vulnerable, it just helps everything, instead of like, because it's like whatever you're vulnerable about and you just kind of just let it out there, it's out there now.
Yeah. So look how society perceives males, right? You gotta be tough. You can't be a bitch. You can't cry. Speak my language. But for the most part, that's why now men are so huge on the suicidal rates, because they feel so cooped up and so locked away that they can't voice their opinions. They can't express their emotional feelings, and that sucks because we're taught, don't cry, boys don't cry, girls cry.
It's facts, and it's crazy for me because like growing up, I was like, you hear the exact same things like that, but then I've been through situations where it's like, especially like for me mainly, I'd say like when it was like losing like some of my friends, it's like seeing everybody crying, and it's like I'm crying, and it's like, now there's sometimes like I'll be by myself just crying, because it's like I'll be thinking about some shit, like, yo, life is crazy, bro.
Yeah,
like this is some shit that we'd have been through, and it's like I'm not afraid to do that even in front of people, because I feel like that's like a strength of mine, because it's like I'm not scared. Like that doesn't make me less of a man, you know, quote unquote, because like I can cry and say like, yeah, I'm having a fucking hard time with some whatever the fuck I'm going through.
Yeah, people think it's associated with weakness, right? You're crying, you're vulnerable, etc., etc. But when I was going through my depression back in 2018, like there's this bridge in Scarborough, honestly, that I thought of jumping off of.
Oh fuck!
I thought.
Thank God you didn't. You know.
Yeah, no, but it was the easy way out, right? You always think of like, yo, would my life be better without me being here? But then thinking about it, I broke down like crazy because I'm just like, yo, look how many lives I'm impacting and can still impact in my early days, and still with not even early days as I get older. Um, I wouldn't have met the people that I've met now and those who influenced my life if I were to just be like, yo, fuck it, I'm gonna jump. And I was going through some shit. Even though I finished school, started my career, I had a good job to start. I feel like it wasn't the money that motivated me, but it was just the mentality of, am I doing good? Because I was still
Mm-hmm.
lost, even though I had my shit together, or it looked like I had my shit together from the outside. Inside, I was like breaking because I was working all these crazy hours. I was burning out. I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to.
I think that's like one thing that I love that you like kind of tapped into, where it's like from the outside looking in, it looks like you got it set, but then people don't realize like that's not always the case on the inside. Like,
100%.
bruh, like it may look like that, but like I'm lost.
Yeah, that's why some of the people that have honestly the brightest and biggest smile, you're like, wow, they look so happy. Behind closed doors, they could be going through a divorce. Behind closed doors, they could have lost their mom. But behind closed doors, you don't know the shit that they're dealing with internally,
That's some of the
right?
realest shit I've ever heard. I'm not
So
gonna lie to you.
yeah, one of the big things that my boss tells me, he's so cool. His name's Barrymore, and
Shout out to Barry.
and Barrymore. He
Oh,
likes to say
Barrymore. Sorry,
Barrymore.
the whole
Yeah,
thing.
the whole
It's like
thing.
a pimp named
Yeah,
Slickback.
yeah.
You
But
gotta say the whole thing.
yeah, but he says he never says someone is just a. So for example, Deej, you're just a janitor. You're just a teacher. You're so much more than just a, right? So that's why he never treats someone as just a janitor, just a garbage man, just a server. He treats them as a human being, and then he tells them and he brings them along kind of with this journey because everyone probably looks at them as, I'm just a garbage man. I'm just a server. They treat me like shit because I'm in this role and profession, right? So that's what I've now embodied and kind of given out there energy wise. You're not just to me. You're a human being. You're a person. You have your own values. You are a person of life.
And I love that because it's like people people underestimate how like complex human beings are.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, you may like this is your profession and this is what you do for a living and whatnot, but like that doesn't mean that you don't love to do other things.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's a great thing to highlight because most people they get trapped into, I'm this.
Yeah.
Like,
we're from the hood. We're always gonna be in the hood.
It's funny because like it's like I had Carlisle on the show before and we were talking about things like that where it's like growing up in the hood, especially like for me is like being black. It's like I'm getting into acting and everything like that. Back in the day, that wasn't cool.
That made you look
weird. You're a weirdo. You're like it's like you maybe you took the one drama class because you needed the art credit.
Pretty much.
Like, what do you mean you're acting? Fam?
And look at him now.
Right? You know what I'm saying? That's my mentor. So shout out to Lizzo.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I love him. But like no, but for real though, it's like it's just crazy how the perceptions that people can have, like depending on like wherever you come or your upbringing. It's just like that people can be so multiverse. Like
100%.
like that's just because I'm from here or I do this, that doesn't mean that there's a lot of things like we're all humans are onions.
Yeah.
Peel back a layer, there's something else under.
Yes, I love that actually. Like that's why I'm always like, like I said, you're the product of your environment, and it shapes you. Yes, but you can't succumb to it. You can't be living in it and living what people think of you. You got to do something for yourself and make your own mark.
Facts. I love that because it's like I always think of myself as like very similar in the aspect where it's like, yeah, I'm a product of environment because of obviously like you're gonna be how you are because of where you grew up, like we were talking about earlier. But it's like at the same time, you can always carve your own lane because we're so diverse as people.
Absolutely.
Where it's like you can just tap into whatever that other side of you is.
Yeah.
And sometimes that could be the thing that you love, and then boom, you just make a career out of that.
Yes, sir.
What I'm saying? I love that, and like that's like something that you were doing because like as you were saying earlier, where it's like, okay, do I get into the medical field and just prescribe people things, or can I find a way to really be more on the ground level and mix that with my love of athletics? Because like I've always loved doing this shit anyways. Like you know, and I just love that you could like put that together. Like, you know, that's like a super like that's just lit because it's like a lot of people don't really find that connection. I feel like a lot of people just do things because all right, this makes me money, or that's pretty much it. Because I feel
I'm
like
good at this, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. No.
Instead of like, I'd love to do this. I want to do this. How can I mix them?
That's it.
You know?
It's like you're a DJ. No pun intended.
I like that one. We're mixing it up. You know what I'm saying? Well, but so like I kind of want to talk too. Like you know, we were talking about like you know earlier when like the mental health issues and like all that. Like, what were some things that you help you cope to like get through to the next side of it, where you're like, yeah, this actually helped build me instead of break me.
Talking about build, exercise was something I use as a huge outlet, just because of not just what it made you physically, but some of the endorphins and the serotonin aspect that it gives off from you mentally, because your brain releases all these different things when you work out. So I felt better, not just physically, my muscles were sore. I felt like shit some days. I'm like, yo, I'm sore, like this shit hurts. But mentally, I'm like, fuck yeah, I did that. Fact. I'm able to push that. I'm able to do that. And then I pat myself on the back like, yo, I'm back.
Mind you, like I was telling you guys earlier, he did not always look like this.
No, sir.
Mike back in the day when he went by Michael, like he said. You know what I'm saying? But like back then, he was a
DJ always called me Mike anyway.
So I've been doing that from day one. You know? But like, he was just like more like this skinny and small like Asian dude, like, you know, that typical. You would expect.
Yeah, typical Asian
now,
kid.
Oh my, like, bruh. Like this guy's like solid, like no, like you know, no cap, no pun intended. It's just like, and like the transformation, I love it because like I didn't seen you from the ground up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
and so it's like as you're talking about this now, and like how you said like, because honestly, me is like obviously being like athletic too. I know about like how working out physically can help you mentally because like you said, those feelings that you get afterwards, where you're just like, damn, I didn't think I could do that shit, but then look at me now.
Yeah, you feel nice.
I'm about to hit that again tomorrow too.
Like I'm telling you, that's why from a mental state, it has helped me flourish so much because of where I came from and kind of being lost. I think exercise was something I could always go back to and know I can pursue something that makes me happy. And honestly, the physical transformation comes with the product. That's a byproduct of what you're going through. Mm-hmm. It literally has saved me from sanity. It to this day, it's what keeps me sane because I know I can go in and I'm going to hit legs. I know I'm going in, I'm going to do chest. I know I'm going to do back. But then it's the aspect of like, I'm always challenging myself mentally because I want to be better than the previous day. I want to always push for more. And a big role model of mine is Mr. Mamba himself.
Shout out to the Mamba mentality, bro.
You have to go in with that mentality and the intensity of doing it right. You can't just go in and do a pussy workout. You can't go in and I'll just walk on the treadmill. Mind you, that is great effort. So don't take it the wrong way. Like the fact that you're in the gym, it's great that you're getting the effort in. But now if you want to really make a change, it's the intensity that you go with it. And that's in life.
You got to start jogging a little bit eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run, right? So you can't just run and you can't just do that backwards, right? So it's huge that exercise, as easy as a tool and as accessible as it is, people neglect it so much nowadays that it's honestly sad to see how society really views on exercise.
I feel you a lot on that just because, like, as you said, like, you know, coming from an era, like, where we kind of, like, we had the technology, but we're still outside.
Yeah.
And it's, like, and then on top of that, being, like, an athletic person.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it's crazy to see, like, I remember sometimes I'll be going back to my old neighborhood and I'll be like, it's a nice hot summer day. I'll be looking at the ball court. Like, sometimes there's people out there, but I'm like...
Most times it's empty.
Yeah, and I'm like, when we were kids, like...
That part was hot.
This is the place to be. Like,
hot.
It's like, ball court, it's hot day, everybody's outside. Yeah. Like, you know, they gotta hit the ball court, bro.
You hit the ball court, you shit talk, you get your cardio in. At the end of the day, it's all game.
Yeah, it's all love. Like, you know, it's like, it's just ball. That was always the term after.
Yeah.
It's just ball.
It's like, yeah, we do what we need to, but at the end of the day, like, we have fun with it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's so neglected now because, like, kids aren't even. I feel like they're not even really pursuing sports like that. And if they are, it's like they're only trying to like look good for like highlights, like
Oh,
like
absolutely.
it's like for me, it's like I like because like I said, basketball's always my sport. So I always go back to it. It's like I always think it's like the Steph Curry effect. I love Steph Curry. Don't get me wrong, but then I
Everyone else
hate
throwing up.
I hate the effect that he had on basketball in a whole, in a sense of where it's like these kids nowadays would rather take a transition 3-pointer instead of just going to the lane and finish up the wide open layup.
Yeah.
Like you'd rather take a shot that a good percentage chance is 40% than this 80% of you chance making the shot that's made that is one shot 1 point less, but like, bro. Like,
yeah.
You think Steph would like he always just does that? No, like
Made two is better than a missed three.
exactly. A made two is better than a missed 3.
100%.
But it's like nowadays in this highlight society, people don't think about that. It's all like, okay, how do I get all my made threes on this tape so it looks good?
It's aesthetics. It's aesthetics. It's the same with the gym, right? Guys at first coming into the gym and gals wanting to lose weight to look sexy. They want to look good in bed. Is what I'm saying, right?
I want to look good when I'm naked.
Yeah, pretty much. But like you gotta think long term. You gotta think way past that. Like, what is this going to do for you mentally? What is this going to do for you from a longevity and from a health perspective? Right? You can't just go in like, yeah, I want to like. At first, that could be a goal. Don't get me wrong. But then as you continue training and you continue building your mindset up, that changes. That shifts 180 easily to be like, oh fuck. Like the byproduct, yeah, I'm not looking better, but now my joints are better. I'm having less pain. I can move better. I can.
It's the little things, like
That's what I'm saying. I can keep up with my kids. I don't have to feel sleepy at work anymore, right? So it's all these other things that come with it. Benefits.
Yeah, I feel like that people don't really like. Yeah, they don't see the other things. They just think about like, oh yeah, I just want to look this way. But like, you get a lot of physical benefits out of it, So like, no, Mike. Before we wrap up, though, there's a couple of things I did want to ask you. I'm always a fan of tattoos, so whenever I said yes, I got the ink on here, I always gotta ask a little something about it. Like, I see you got your shits right here. Let's get into it. Like, what even inspired you to kind of like do this in the first place?
There's a lot of things that goes on with my tattoos. It's not done yet. I want to get my full sleeve done. But the theme that I'm going for with my arm is more of like a rustic, ancient theme, but it has to do with family. It ties in with family.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like the maple leaves. I have 3 maple leaves on my wrist.
I got a maple leaf on my wrist.
There you go. There you go. There you go, bro. I love it. So the leaves represent me and my siblings because we're Canadian, but we're Vietnamese, and we're Vietnamese Canadian. The colors now are the unique part. So I have one that's like burnt orange, I have one that's like bright red, and one's kind of like middle.
Oh.
So the colors of the leaves change as seasons go on. So basically, it's the age. So I'm more of the burnt orange because I'm already of the eldest. I'm the eldest of 3, of 2. And for example, my sister, the youngest, is the brightest red because she's kind of just flourishing now. She's getting to that stage of kind of like blooming. Whereas my brother's kind of in the middle, but I chose him to also be upside down for me because we butt heads a lot. So that's a big thing. He's the opposite of me in that sense. But why I also chose leaves is because once the leaves fall off the tree, they kind of fly in different directions. No leaves always fly in the same direction.
Yo, bro, your shit's like deeper than like the whole like. Look, I love it though. I
took years to really kind of calculate what I wanted to do with it,
which I feel a lot of people should do because, like,
it's permanent, right? It's on you, and you want it to represent something. So, also in the Asian culture, we don't say "I love you" too much. So if you had Asian friends and whatnot, they with their tiger parents and whatnot, they never really say "I love you." You get the rare ones though, absolutely. But I've never really said it to my siblings or like my mom or dad, like to that extent. Like I really meant kind of like, yeah, I love you too, kind of.
Okay.
But this really now solidifies that I really love my siblings and my family, even though sometimes I want to fucking kill them.
But I'll take some pain for you. Don't
100%.
Don't sleep.
So there's just so much that goes on, and then like I'll just tie it in. I have the tree of life right here. Yggdrasil is what I call it. It's in Norse mythology, and it represents my parents. So going back to what I said about the leaves, we've fallen off our parents. My parents as the trees. Now we're going all our own separate ways, doing different things in life, career-wise, etc., etc. So it's cool what I get to do with my tattoos.
I love that. I love
Thank you.
that, bro. Because like I love tattoos. You know what I'm saying? I just got a new one. Like fuck.
I saw a little bit.
Yeah, I'll show you a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that one I just had to get because it was just. Yeah, it was more just one of those things. Like it was just the bus route that just ran through the neighborhood, and I'm like, yeah, this is the bus that took me out of the hood, so I got to get this because I'm trying to I'm trying to make it and excel out of the hood, and
Nice.
this was at a young age without my parents.
Yeah.
This is how I got it.
Yeah.
And it meant something to me, especially because that bus route don't exist no more. They changed the number and everything.
Yeah,
so it's like it means a little bit more to me. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my 96C bus catchers. You know what I'm saying? Only the real ones know.
Yep.
But on another note though, to wrap this up though, I want to know, Mike, what's the future hold for you? What are you doing currently, and what's going on moving forward?
So, like I said, I still am a personal trainer, but I'm not just a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So
not just remember that.
Yeah. So I manage the gym. I am the the head fitness trainer. I am the fitness consultant, and I'm the fitness manager. So I do a lot of different roles when it comes. Got
different. We operate different
hats.
So
it's cool when I get to do different things in that aspect. But the future holds for me. One day, as we expand and whatnot, I would love to run the club myself and to have a little bit more of my contributions from kind of like an executive level, where I can create this kind of like what we had at Rich Program and for others, because I know what we went through and I know how hard it is. So I want to kind of create a safe place for people to come exercise where there's no judgment, and it's not even like a fit for less kind of thing. It's like more of like you're all inclusive no matter where you come from. Sorry, what was that last part again?
No, just about what was going forward. And
going forward, there's going back to Barrymore, huge inspiration for me. Ever since I met him, he's like my biggest role model in life. There's a saying he said, rising tides floats all boats. Mm-hmm. So as tide comes in from the water, all the boats, no matter where you are, all float. So the boats around me are the peers and those who are in my life. I want to elevate them as much as I elevate. What's the point of being on top alone?
And there's no better way to end it than just like that. I hope you all want to be some rising tides to the people around you.
Yes, sir.
And we all elevate it. We all be on top together.
Yes, sir.
I love that. Mike, thank you for coming through.
So much,
you know what I'm saying? That's how we do it out here. You know what I'm saying? This is the Wheel1 podcast. You know what I'm saying? Shout out. We're going to hit you guys back up next time. Comment, subscribe, all that. We're getting into that now. And we out.